before I talk about what RF Labs is, I want to kind of talk about the current state of competition. We look at competition in many different ways today. There's gaming, sports, live entertainment, socializing, and competition plays a huge role in each of one of these things. And over the last 20 years or so, we've seen a lot of evolution in each of these things, mainly because of technology. You'll see that games like chess have been completely revolutionized because of player networks, online gaming, where you can now see optimal strategies playing against anyone in the world and compare scores and stats like never before. We've seen the same thing with media, entertainment. If you look at baseball or any games like that, in the last 20 years when StatCast kind of became a thing, it completely revolutionized broadcasting and the way you kind of think about a sport or watching a sport and interacting with it, and the way fantasy kind of came out of that, and many other aspects and technologies. And the last thing is the accessibility to these kind of games. And this is something that we've seen very recently with competitive socializing areas. And many of you guys might not know what that is, but if you look at Topgolf and the technology they've done with their Top Tracer, they took a game like golf and the simple idea of driving ranges that was made for a specific market and completely made that accessible to the everyday person. It was said that 75% of people who go to Topgolf have never held a golf club in their life. And in 2017, over 30% of golfers came and started playing the game because they had gone to a Topgolf location. So the accessibility that technology is bringing is completely changing the way these sports are growing, and technology is taking that much further in a live gaming industry. So that's where I kind of realized that there's a similar aspect of poker being in this market, and poker is also going through like the second boom in the last few years, where more people are playing the game than ever. There was a huge boom in the early 2000s with online poker coming into play, and that kind of built out this player network like we saw. But recently, the use of streaming and viewership has kind of changed the way poker is actually looked at, because in the last 3 years, there's been a 99% annual growth rate in viewership for a lot of these streams that poker is played in. And it's a very data-driven game. There's a lot of feedback loop required. Over 600 million hands played live every single day. And I realized that not a single one of these games had data or insights that are available to players. So I kind of set out on this journey. You can see me stuck in my parents' basement over there trying to build out the first version of this table that could track everything you do, the gameplay, the chips, the cards, in real time using RFID technology. I was a very software person, didn't know much about RFID. I went to a lot of my professors in Georgia Tech. I fell in love with the game because I joined the Georgia Tech poker team. And I realized that there's so much data that these guys all these nerds were kind of like looking at and studying this data. And then I'd go home and see the casual player knows nothing about this. They've been playing for 20 years, didn't know this data existed. So how can we bring that to these people? And I went and talked to RFID companies, and they said that it's not possible. You can't do this. You can't track chips over multiple antennas over a table. So a lot of people ask me, like, why does this not exist today? And it's because this was a feat not in terms of hardware, but in terms of software, the ability to build an intelligent system that can track all these chips and cards in real life. You can see the evolution from the left to the middle table. I brought one of the engineers, actually, I talked to Zach about the story, but we went to an RFID company nearby where I live. I found out one of the biggest sales companies is 10 minutes from my house in Atlanta. So I drive there and I go to the salesperson. I said, hey, I need smaller antennas. I have a customer. They want this table, kind of like what you see the table on the right side. And he goes, it's just not possible. You can't do this. So I said, no, trust me. So I took him in my car, brought him home, and I showed him that table. And he's like, oh, I guess it is possible. So that's kind of gives you an understanding of how the technology is extremely new, RFID, and how software plays a huge role in it. And that's kind of what RF Labs is focused on doing today. So here's a quick video of our product. So I know what you guys are thinking. Who knew furniture could look so sexy, right? So, so what did you see? Essentially, at first look, it's just these connected equipment, right? RFID tables, chips, and cards that we build, uh, and that connects the entire gameplay and makes it feel and look. You saw some of the examples of those live streams at the end. People are playing on a normal table that feels like everything they've been playing in their whole life, right? But what we're actually building are these two platforms: RF Mobile for the players, the ability to track every single hand that you've played, 100% of game data tracked, your stack sizes, your bets, your cards, who you're playing against, what type of player they were, and the ability to share that data, improve your gameplay, compare stats, and see how you top the leaderboards, and also be able to export that data and kind of use that for coaching and improving your gameplay. So players love this side of it, and our business model is essentially building a subscription app for them to use and improve their game. And on the other side, you have these businesses, these card rooms that have been running the game for many years in the same way, and they realize that technology is kind of getting to this point where you have these platform shifts, but card rooms have been running the same way for the last 30 years. And now we have ability to do anti-cheat technology, understand the security in the cage of chips going in and out. We're able to give them these insights on players and sessions where they can see if there's anything fishy going on in the room, and also improve their marketing through these automated live streams that were never done before, where you can kind of play a game for 20 hours and have it completely live streamed to your audience and build your market of players, and have commentary be more interesting than ever. So a lot of these things I mentioned before, what Topgolf's doing and what Statcast does, is what we're kind of doing to these everyday games. So what does the market really look like? A lot of you might not know kind of the poker market or the industry and how it's broken down. Uh, at the top, there's the streaming poker that I kind of mentioned, right? The live stream games, that's our foot into the door. And these games are already using some sense of technology, but it's actually someone sitting in the back typing in the bets, and it's really limited in the way they use the technology. So we kind of came in and said, okay, we can just completely disrupt this industry. So let's go and attack streaming tables, which is a small market but gets us in the door. Then you have competitive poker, which is the players who play in casinos, card rooms, tours, and those are the players we currently give our app to, and those are the tables that we're currently selling to. But our real goal is to take it beyond this market of poker players and into the more social poker players. Many of you might have played on the weekend with your friends at home on a dining table with a card and chip set that you got from Target. That's the industry that I think could benefit a lot from this technology, because you'll see that arcade games have kind of been archaic, and we want to come in and completely change the way leaderboards and scoring and global point systems work with our technology. So the social poker side, which is the big markets there, and that kind of goes beyond into other games like chess and, like you saw, with golf and racing and many other things that require game theory optimal strategies. That's kind of what we're building today. Game theory is a reinvented arcade. We're calling it game theory, a consumer focused retail area, a zone where the best of RF technology kind of comes into play. And you can see that our app that's being used to give you the scores, the leaderboards, are completely dumbed down for the person who is in the mainstream audience, who can kind of understand, how can I improve my game? How can I get better? And then take that and gamify the game even further, where now they're not caring about how much money they're playing with. They're caring about, how can I have the highest RF score in the country or in the nation, right? And we're building this for poker. We're going into chess, billiards, darts, many other games that can kind of use this technology in a way to change the way that you look at competitive socializing and live gaming. The first location is opening in Atlanta next month, so that's kind of some of the tables that you'll see there. Every single table is going to be live streamed, recorded. You can send that videos of that to your friends and family. And we have these TV screens around the room that kind of show you information like you could never see before, completely changing the live gaming experience for poker that people have been using for the last 50 years. And what does the future of game theory look like? Well, one side is the state-of-the-art arcades, but our goal going into this mainstream audience is actually attacking a lot of the home use cases of the tables with our hardware development kit that we want to build, where now places like Monopoly and Uno can buy our RF tags and embed them in their technologies, and people can buy this single home platform, completely changing the way you thought of gaming consoles in the past, right? And the same thing applies in the arcades and homes. And the real benefit is coming to the players and to the users, where we have this digital layer. And kind of like what Zach said, right now we don't have any cases of blockchain in our technology, but the ability to scale is kind of really prominent over here. We've already seen it, how AI has completely changed our app in the last couple months, where people can now see how they can improve their gameplay in seconds, right? And the same thing happens when you start building a global player network and start using these live communities from live streaming and Reddit and these things, where all the data is now being shared online with them immediately and instantly at no cost. And in the end, we want to build this kind of marketplace for players where they can kind of go and play in a physical area, but then use their digital life and the afterlife of the game to kind of improve their gameplay, being able to trade hands with each other, etc. And to eliminate the learning curve is a big aspect of it as well, where the live assistance from our app is what lets players who have never played before walk into a room, immediately know how to play the game, and get some insights on, hey, how can I get better so I can play with my friends and enjoy it the same way 75% of people who go to bowling are not professional bowlers, or the 75% of people who go to Top Golf have never held a club in their life. That's where the live assistance comes into play. So overall, this is the kind of the future of what we're building, what we think is the future of competition. And in the end, this is kind of the value we're providing. But we believe that technology with AI and with a lot of blockchain could be used to kind of revolutionize a lot of these things that we're doing today. And we've already seen that happen with RFID. So uh, that's it for me. If you guys have any questions, that's RF Labs and game theory. Yeah.
Okay, Alex, we got a question here.
Hey, awesome presentation and awesome. And by the way, that video is super amazing, and also the product is just like mind blowing. Congratulations on that. It's
Thank
amazing.
you, yeah.
So I wanted to, immediately came to my mind when you said Monopoly and all these games and Uno, that I follow a lot of competitions of Magic the Gathering and all these kind of competitions, because I used to play when I was younger, and right now they're making some online tournaments. The thing is that, as you said, there's no data for any of that. All that, there's only like a live video transmission from above of the cards that are on the table, and you hear the commentators, but there's no absolutely no data or analytics of what works, what doesn't work, or what kind of cards players use. So I was thinking that can this technology also be applied to those kind of games? Because I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one thing to kind of, for us, like we realized that with poker specifically, initially, I always thought that it's the technology and the hardware, the RFID, that kind of makes this thing special. What we realized really quickly is the hard part is actually getting the players to kind of understand how to use the data and actually fall in love with that, right? And I think with a lot of these games that you're mentioning, uh, one beautiful thing about our product is whenever it's used, we have a video live stream of people sitting there for 4 or 8 hours, sitting there and talking about the game, talking about the sport. It's not like a software where you just download it and you have to go meet your customer. We see how they react to it. And because of that, you can easily change, okay, here's how the data is helping them improve. Here's how we should market, not as a game theory optimal strategy, but here's what the coaches would do, or what a good person would do to improve their gameplay. So I think it applies to every game that we're kind of talking about here.